Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue sur Africa 24 à ce nouveau numéro de décryptage qui reçoit aujourd'hui pour vous M. Ayodele Odusola. Il est le directeur stratégique au Bureau Afrique du PNUD, le programme des Nations Unies pour le développement à New York. Avec lui, il sera question de migration et développement, l'apport de ces migrants au développement du continent africain, mais le droit de ces migrants qui sont des acteurs essentiels dans le développement du continent. L'une des thématiques de la rencontre au Maroc sur la migration est migration et développement. Quelle est votre analyse là-dessus?
Migration is not a threat to development, but an opportunity for development. And on the basis of this, we need to really see how Africa as a continent can maximally benefit from the opportunities created by migration. One of the major opportunities relate to remittances that are now coming into Africa, which is quite large, even larger than ODA that is currently coming to Africa. So this is one area we can maximize to really bolster migration for development. Another area relates to what a few countries have been doing, especially Ethiopia and Nigeria, in terms of diaspora's bond. Ethiopia is using bonds that is coming from diaspora to build one of the largest dam in the continent today, called the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. And at the same time, Nigeria just, through the diaspora's bond, mobilized 300 million to meet its fiscal deficit for this particular year. These are opportunities created by migration. And again, there are a lot of opportunities for migration, including experience sharing and relating to technology transfer from their experience in other countries. It can be used in their own home country if it is well harnessed and make effective use into development. So I see migration as a very good opportunity for development transformation. So we need to take advantage of it to make sure we use it for concrete development in Africa.
Comment cette diaspora peut-elle être source de développement pour le continent africain?
There are so many things. The first thing is, we have to make sure we speak with one voice so that the rest of the world regularize migration and they do not see migration as a threat to development. We have to let them know that it is a very good opportunity. We make sure we debate and engage them, Europe, North America, and even Asia, to be sure that they really take good care of immigrants in terms of protecting their rights, in terms of making sure they are fully engaged and integrated into the communities in which they are. Two, we need to really try to minimize the cost of remittances to Africa. In spite of the fact that the average cost of remittances is about 8% in the world, it is 12% or more in Africa. So we need government in Africa must do a lot to make sure the cost of remittances are very low. So those are the areas we have to. And at the same time, they have to create an opportunity of engaging with their diasporas abroad to make sure that the knowledge they have gained in the countries where they are can be transferred home so that they can be used for development and help people to really eliminate poverty by 2030 as said in the SDGs.
Et que dire de ces migrants qui sont souvent persécutés dans leur pays d'accueil en Afrique?
Well, I know countries like South Africa, Nigeria, Côte d'Ivoire, including Egypt, they receive a lot of migrants on annual basis. And in that respect, Nigeria had almost about 21 billion in the 2015 as the remittances going there, and Egypt too about 20 billion as the total remittances they got, which substantially is a huge amount relative to what is coming to the continent. Now, one thing we have to do is, for instance, in South Africa, the government must deal with xenophobic attack. Unless you do seriously with xenophobic attack, you will not be able to use migration to really transform your development and transform African development. So we need to do this. And in Côte d'Ivoire, in Nigeria, we need to make sure that we fully regularize immigrants and make sure they are fully engaged in critical sectors of the economy. What we need to do is to tap their assets where they are very good. In terms of skills, in terms of knowledge transfer, they need to really make sure they are fully integrated into the economy so that they can help facilitate economic transformation and development in those countries and the rest of the continent.
Comment améliorer le commerce intra-africain qui est selon vous une grande opportunité pour le développement du continent?
Well, one thing which I always emphasize is that Africans prefer to be dealing with the rest of the world without dealing with itself. So the first thing is charity begins from home. We have to make sure we promote internal migration within Africa. What I mean is regional and continental migration, so that we use it to fast-track trade access. We use it to fast-track what we call value chain production in terms of a situation that is currently emerging, where you see many banks in South Africa, in other parts of the world, where you see cement companies by Aliko Dangote in more than 17 countries in Africa, where you see so many companies from Kenya in many parts of the world, many countries in many firms in Egypt, in the rest of Africa. So these are the kind of things we need to promote. We need to promote regional and continental migration that we can use effectively to transform development in our respective countries and in the continent.
L'intégration par région est-elle le passage obligé pour une véritable Union africaine?
Yes, that is the vision. West Africa has done it and is the only region out of the 5 regions in the continent that has succeeded in doing this. East Africa is trying to do the same. We need to do free visa so that you can get visa at the port of entry. Let's follow ECOWAS example, which has really helped a lot in reducing the cost of obtaining visa, which again reduces transaction cost. And again, Rwanda offers a very good example where visa can be obtained in less than 24 hours. So this is something we have to do through e-transfer, electronic visa that can facilitate the process of migration and make it more growth and development oriented.
Les migrants sont-ils source d'insécurité pour leur pays d'accueil comme le prétendent certains observateurs?
Let me just tell you, there has been a series of documentations and researches and studies about the security implication of migration globally. UNDP report in 2009 did not find any link. The World Bank publications up to date, as well as OECD, that has done a lot in that area, has not been able to link migration to security threat. But the main thing in terms of security threat comes from the human rights dimension, where people that got into another country, especially in Europe, illegally, are now being treated in a way that is creating some kind of credibility issue. So that's the way I say it. In terms of security, they are not constituting any threat. But let me just tell you one thing. You see, like I told you, migration is not one way. It's not from Africa to the rest of the world. It's all over the world. I told you north-south migration is just the total number of migrants is about 5% of the global migrant. But if you look at the resources, the benefit coming from it, about 38% of the total remittances from migration is going to the north and not the south. You can see that it's not one way. They are benefiting maximally from it, so I do not see any link with the issue of threat. Rather, we should even use it to strengthen, what we call security situation, to make sure that migrants are protected, migrants are really empowered, and their human rights elements are being enhanced, so that they are not maltreated relative to the native people living in those particular countries.